Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the stainless steel Megalodon, which I purchased from www.mojurepublic.com. No need for any disclaimers, let's go straight ahead and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so the Megalodon is available in either stainless steel, which is what I purchased, or you can also get a cheaper option, which is the aluminium version. And I think the aluminium one is about sort of 25 or 30 pounds cheaper, so there's quite a big difference between the two. But me personally, I'm quite glad I paid the extra and got the stainless steel one. But I'm sure the aluminium one is just as nice. So when you get it, it basically sort of comes in this sort of like a tobacco tin. Now the actual tin is and it's all packaged out, and obviously you've got the space there for the actual Megalodon, but it's not something I'd really use to sort of actually carry it about in. However though, it is a nice tin, and I'm sure I can sort of fill it up with a few sort of spare atomizers and bits and bobs and that, so that definitely won't go to waste. And then also you get one of these sort of nice, what's it called, like a pouch or a sheath, which you can obviously use to sort of carry that around with. But again, it's probably something I'm never going to use, and I'm just going to stick it in my pocket and have a good vape whenever I feel like it. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual Megalodon in a little bit more detail. Right, so the Megalodon is basically made up of 4 pieces. You have the atomizer end cap section. Now I chose a 510 fitting, but I believe you can also choose, I think it's a 901 or an 801 fitting. You then have 2 sort of sections here which make up the actual main body of the device. And then you have your switch assembly, and I'll show you the switch assembly in a bit more detail once I've actually sort of installed the battery, because it'll just come out better on the camera and explain it a little easier. Okay, so you can use the Megalodon in sort of one of sort of 2 ways. You can use it in like the normal mode, where it's sort of fully assembled with both of the these sort of sections here, or you can also use it in mini-don mode, which then allows you to use the smaller batteries, such as the an 18350, or I've been using a 16340. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll quickly assemble it in the mini-don mode first, and then I'll show you it in the larger mode, which can then use sort of batteries like your 18650s, your 17670s, or even one of these 5-volt batteries that they also sell on the website. Now if you did happen to get one of these 5-volt batteries, you will need to get a separate charger too, but these are pretty cheap, and I think it was 2 batteries for around sort of £5, and I think the charger, as far as I can remember, was about sort of £6 or £7. So it's not sort of going to cost you a fortune if you fancy trying the Megalodon at 5 volts. Okay, so I'm going to start off then with the mini-don mode, so I don't need that for a second. So I'm going to just insert the switch assembly, and that all screws in nicely. Then I'm going to get one of these, I'm going to use the, no I'm not going to use that one because it's dead. I'm going to use the 16340, and so you just pop that in there, negative end towards the switch. Well, at least that's the way I've been doing it, it's working fine. And then you get your atomizer end cap, and then screw that on in place. And then you can just attach a 510 atomizer of your choice. So I'm going to attach the bully here. Now a really good thing about this connection, just I want to sort of go back one step, is that it's got a really nice sort of deep well going around it. And this, as well as sort of obviously catching any e-liquid that might spill out, it also allows you to use things like the Tornado or the Ego sort of mega dual cartomizers, and that'll screw straight on there. And they work fine, so you don't need to have any sort of adapters or anything. And again, with things like your tanks and that, they will sort of work completely fine as well. So it's nice that you can be able to use the other sort of like the Tornado or the Ego sort of style cartomizers without having to actually worry about any sort of using any adapters. Okay, so like I said, we've got this switch assembly here, and this switch assembly, it really is good, and I really like it. Obviously, it is a bottom button, which I know some people aren't that keen on, but I find that when you start using it, it feels a bit odd at first, but then you start getting used to it. So I don't really sort of see it as any sort of problem. But anyway, you have your switch here. Obviously, when you press it, that will sort of fire up the atomizer, which it does. But if you just twist it 180 degrees, then it sort of locks, and so you can't push it down. And then when you want to use it again, just twist it another 180 degrees, and that's it, you can start firing. And I don't know if you're going to be able to sort of see it in the camera there, if I can get the right angle. Yeah, if you look just at the bottom now, you can see that there's a little sort of tiny pin, and there's a hole on one of these sides here. And so basically when it's in that position, the little pin will go straight down the hole. But when it's in, if you twist it 180 degrees, then hopefully you can see it again. Where's the pin gone? You can see that the pin obviously hasn't got a hole to go down, so it locks it up nicely. And on the bottom here you've got a screw, and this is for basically adjusting the throw. So in other words, adjusting how much play you want in that switch there in order to actually activate the device. And that screw is also quite essential for when you want to change batteries, because if you change to a larger battery, then you will have to sort of adjust the throw again on it. And again, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so that is the mini Don mode. I've not used it a great deal in this mode. I've been using it with the 5-volt battery, and really enjoying it. But nevertheless, if you want something really nice and dinky, you can see it's completely covered. So let's just whip that off, and then I'm going to add the other part of the body. So that just screws together there. Again, really nice threads. Everything screws together really nicely. It did come with Nolax already pre-applied, so you don't have to sort of worry about that. Plus, because this is stainless steel, I don't think it's too much of an issue anyway, as far as I'm aware. So then you get I'm going to use a 18650 2500 milliamp hour battery, and you can also use this at 6 volts or 7.4 volts. You can put two of the, I think it's the CR123A batteries in there. That's if you want to use it at the those sort of voltages. So then that just goes in there, and then again got atomizer end cap screws on, and that's it. But now though, it won't fire up, and that is because you need to adjust this because it's got a different battery in there. Now, rather annoyingly, I haven't got a single screwdriver in my house that'll fit in there. They're either too small or too big, and so I went to sort of use a pair of tweezers. And the way to adjust it is to basically just hold it in, and then just start screwing it up until you hear the atomizer start firing up, and that lets you know that you're at the right spot. Now I know I've got quite a bit to go here, so I'm just going to quickly sort of speed it on a little bit. With the larger batteries, I'm finding that the screw has to go sort of quite far in, and then it shouldn't be too much after that. So I can hear it now. Just quickly take this off, you can see that it's all firing up nicely now. And I've got that's the right amount of play for me. Some people, you can adjust it a bit more, so you only have to sort of push it in, literally a fraction, and it'll activate, but that's how I like it, just right there. Okay then, so that is the Megalodon. Looks wise, I think it looks great. It looks a lot better in the flesh than what it did in the photos. I've got quite a few friends who've got the Megalodon, and they're really big fans of it. And I was sort of having a bit of fun at them, because I was saying it looked a little bit like one of those sort of old-fashioned milk urns. But when it's actually in your hand, it definitely does look a lot nicer. Seems to be very well made. Got a brilliant switch on it. Very nice design. And anyway, so that is the Megalodon. Let's go and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that is the stainless steel Megalodon. Now, before I sort of go any further, I'm sure some people are going to notice that it's no longer a stainless steel colour, and in fact it's been gold plated. Now, the reason for this is that around a week ago I purchased a gold plating kit, and ever since then I've been sort of gold plating pretty much anything I can get my hands on. I had the Don now for about sort of 3 weeks. I recorded all those close-up shots after about sort of 10 days, and it was my intention to record the rest of the review the next day, and then obviously gold plate it afterwards. But for whatever reason, I just never got around to doing that rest of the recording, and obviously since then I've gold plated it. But it's not going to affect the review in any way, sort of shape or form. Okay, so moving on then. So I've got the Don. I'm using it with a 18650 battery. I've got my bully atomizer, which is reading around sort of 2.4 ohms, and I'm just using some 18 milligram strength Virginia, or like a tobacco flavoured e-liquid. And as you can see, produces plenty of vapour. Now, obviously, the amount of vapour production you're going to get will sort of be very dependent on your own sort of personal setup. And the reason I say that is because obviously the Don can use your standard batteries. It can use a 5-volt battery. It can take standard atomizers. It can take low resistance atomizers. You can take, the cartomizers, the tank systems, etc., etc. And obviously every one of those sort of setups will give you a slightly different result in terms of vapor production. But all I can say is that with my current setup here, with a standard, with a 2.4 ohm bully atomizer, standard battery, plenty of vapor. And the same thing applies as well to the amount of throat hit you're going to get. I like to vape 18 milligram strength e-liquids, which are not sort of too high, not too low, they're sort of right there in the middle. And I personally find that the higher the nicotine content of the e-liquid, and like the stronger or the harsher the throat hit. Now, as well as that, you also have to bear in mind that the throat hit is going to be affected by what sort of atomizer you're using, what sort of voltage you're vaping at, etc., etc. So, again, it will be dependent on your own sort of personal sort of setup. But for me, with the setup that I'm using here, I'm getting a really nice strong throat hit. The battery life on it is excellent. Obviously, it's all dependent on what battery you're using. I've been mainly using the 18650 battery or the like the 5-volt battery. The 5-volt battery, it's a very nice vape, but it doesn't last particularly long. I class myself as like a moderate vapor, but I'm going through one of those batteries in probably about sort of 4.5 hours. So a heavy vapor will probably cane those in a good sort of maybe sort of 2.5, 3 hours. But with the 18650, which is, I can't remember if it's a 2400 or 2500 milliamp hour battery, I'm getting about sort of 2.5 days worth of use out of it. Now, if you're like a chain vapor, somebody sort of wakes up in the morning, starts vaping and doesn't stop until they go to sleep, then you're not going to get sort of 2.5 days worth of use out of it. It's going to be sort of far less. But for me personally, with the amount that I vape, now I'm getting plenty of battery life. And like I said, now you can take a few different sort of styles of batteries, and each one of those are going to have a sort of different milliamp hour rating, and obviously that will affect the amount of sort of vaping time you get out of it as well. The switch on it, I think is fantastic. It's just a very simple design that just works, very effectively. When you want to lock it, you just twist it 180 degrees and it's locked. When you want to vape, you twist it another 180 degrees and so you can start vaping again. Some people may be a little bit put off by having to sort of adjust the battery, adjust the switch every time you change to a sort of different battery type. But I don't really see that as much of a big deal because I tend to stick with the same battery anyway. Like I said, I've been swapping between the 18650 and the 5-volt, but I probably will just be sticking with the 18650 every time I use it from now on. So no, I'm probably never going to have to sort of adjust that little screw again, ever again basically. The other thing I did notice that when I first got it, it felt quite sort of stiff to operate, and I think that was because you got the little peg which obviously goes inside the hole, and it felt as though that was sort of rubbing slightly, but literally after about sort of 2 hours worth of use, that seems to sort of really loosen up. So I can only imagine there's maybe like a little sort of burr either inside the hole or on the actual sort of peg. But I see now it operates as smooth as butter. Excuse me. Now, overall, it's a really nice electronic cigarette or personal vaporizer, whatever you want to call it. It's quite versatile as well. You can use loads of different sort of atomizers or cartomizers or tank systems. You can use quite a few different batteries. You can vape it at various voltages. For me, obviously this is a stainless steel one, and I know you can get the aluminium one as well. And I've not tried those, but I can say that the stainless steel one seems to be very well made. And with a little bit of maintenance, this is something that's probably going to last you a lifetime. Not a great deal else I can sort of really tell you about it, so I'll get on to the scores in. Now for the looks, now obviously I've done it in the gold here, but I do actually think the stainless steel one looks a lot nicer. Like originally I was just going to, originally I did just gold plate the button at the bottom there, and that looked pretty smart with the rest of it being the like the silver colour. But then I thought, oh sod it, let's just do the rest of it as well. And I sort of wish I hadn't now really, but anyway, the looks wise, another thing we'll say, it looks a lot nicer in the flesh than what it does in the photos. In the photos, I was always a little bit put off about getting one because I thought it looked a bit like a milk urn really. But once you actually got it in your hand, you know, you can really appreciate the looks on it a lot more. So for the looks, I'll quite happily give that a 9 out of 10. For the vapor production and the throat hit, I'm going to give those my average score of 8 out of 10 because it will be very dependent on your own sort of personal setup. For the battery life, it's got to be a 10 out of 10. If I can make a battery last me 1 day, I think that's pretty good. If I can make a battery last me 2 or more days, then I'll class that as excellent. So the battery's a 10 out of 10. And for the switch, I've got no complaints at all with the switch whatsoever. Got a lovely locking feature on it, you know, and it works perfectly, fires up every time. So that'll be another 10 out of 10. Okay, so you know, if you fancy trying one of these out for yourself, go along to www.mojurepublic.com. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cigreviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.